For a comic, who would you rather have as Prime Minister? Modi or Manmohan?
I think for a comic, we just need to have a Prime Minister.
Yeah. The country
That's
does
it.
the rest.
All that matters is that there's a Prime Minister. Whoever's there.
We just need to have a Prime Minister.
I think the good thing about India actually is with the political situation in India, there are so many people doing so many silly things on a day-to-day basis that you are never short.
Never.
So the party in power is actually very incidental. Like it doesn't matter.
There'll always be somebody from a different party doing something.
Like the A.I.B party, the implosion that's playing out as we speak.
It's beautiful. It's like they're allergic to votes.
Yeah.
Like every time they get votes, I don't know what happens to them. They start imploding. What is happening to them?
I feel
You know how it is, like when you're in college and there's 10 of you and then you get one bottle of Old Monk and everyone starts fighting over that one bottle of Old Monk. It's essentially that.
you know, we are among rich people.
Oh,
Nobody
sorry,
knows what
I meant
Old
a
Monk
bottle of
is.
Chivas.
Yes.
Nobody
Nobody knows what Old Monk is here.
Yeah.
No, but I really like the A.I.B party because you can make as many jokes as you want, and Arvind Kejriwal the worst he'll do is chalo main naturotherapy karke aata hu. So it's okay.
So, yeah.
So it's cool. Like, how can you joke? Like that's about it, right?
Like I feel really terrible for volunteers because these are volunteers who've done what not. Like they're from standing on the street to fighting like BJP trolls online. Like fighting BJP trolls online must like kill your soul a little bit from the inside.
Yeah.
And when you do that, and then this happens, I feel bad for the volunteers mostly. You're like, "Bro, 6 months se topi nahi utara yaar. Kya kar raha hai yaar? It's not fair yaar."
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
Pity
it's cool,
applause.
it's cool,
We don't
yeah.
need pity applause, guys.
That's
cool,
fine, guys.
Cool.
It's cool.
It's cool. Relax. It's fine.
There are some volunteers in the audience. Anyway, but they're not.
Is there a bad
No,
exit?
it's fine, yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
pity
it's cool,
applause.
it's cool,
We don't
yeah.
need pity applause, guys.
That's
It's cool,
fine,
it's cool.
guys. It's
Yeah,
cool.
It's cool. Relax. It's fine.
There are some volunteers in the audience. Anyway, but they're not.
Is there a bad
No,
exit?
it's fine, yeah.
They're not,
Hugs
they're not
to
wearing
all
their
of them.
topis, so you can't tell where they're sitting.
Hugs for them per 5 saal hai. There's a lot more to come, I can assure you.
Virat Kohli's recent outing.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I feel really bad for the guy because I don't think he actually cusses. I just think that is how Virat Kohli speaks. I think that's his language. It's a legitimate language for him, and that's just how he speaks.
Virat
And as
is a
result,
translator with him.
Yeah.
Like beep 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 beep. He
Good
says
morning.
Hello.
He says good morning.
No, but I just heard this news that he was at the World Cup and he cussed out the reporter, which turned out to be a wrong reporter. He thought it was the reporter who had written about him and Anushka, and turns out it was some other reporter. And I was like, as a Delhiite, I was so proud. I'm like, हमारे लड़के ऐसे ही करते हैं, मतलब बिना देखे गाली दे देते हैं किसी भी और को. Like, I felt
you
so
know what?
happy.
And you know what my favorite thing is? उसके बाद when you ask him, Virat तूने क्यों बोला? गलत आदमी था. उसमें बोले क्या करो यार, feel आ गई.
Yeah,
Like, you just know.
It's so good.
You just know that's what his thought process was.
चल कबाब खाने
Right,
चलते हैं. Like, it's very nice. It felt nice.
The censor board.
And all we plan to get into the movie business soon, so I don't know if this is a lucrative.
Our films will be silent films.
Black and white, Italian inspired.
Yeah.
The sense of I feel like the sense board in the A.I.B party is something similar going on right now.
Yeah. Just people within the organization hating each other. So it's actually the implosion is pretty spectacular, and we didn't think it would happen that quickly. But what to say about it? I think the thing with the censor board though is it's very easy to make fun of them, but this happens every 5 years. Every government that comes in, there is that entire situation about, oh, this is a politically motivated board, and then they all end up fighting and killing each other. And the best you can do is, "Arey, usme gali kyun bleep kiya?" And like, what more can you do really?
Yeah, and then you just download the pirated version, uncut version of the film anyways.
Yeah, so it's okay.
Selfie culture. Sweeping
Selfie
India.
culture.
That's an oxymoron. Selfie culture.
What about it? The thing is, I can't say
what
no.
about it? I can't say anything. We took one with like Vishwanathan Anand 5 minutes ago.
Like, I will say this: it's great for Instagram likes.
Yeah.
If you're good looking.
I feel like with everything else, selfie culture is one of those things where do it, it's great fun, but then ever so often there'll be that one story in the paper about like dude falls off cliff trying to get selfie. Like, and you're just like, awesome, automatic cleansing of the gene pool is happening.
Yeah.
Like,
My
just the stupid people flushing themselves out automatically. It's perfect.
And you see all of these, like, especially on top of the mountains and stuff with like one gigantic stick. And you're just like, how is this guy still alive? Like, it's fascinating. How have they not
Did you
fallen
guys
to
see
their
that,
death?
that picture that went viral?
Yeah,
couple
about
days
that
ago?
guy
Oh,
with
yeah,
his
that guy with
uncle
the
or
uncle.
whoever had passed away, and he's like, my Periya Appa passed away, feeling sad.
And people are liking that picture.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm like, what is happening?
And what I appreciated is that aside from that sentence, he took the time out to put his emotions into an emoji also.
Yeah.
Like he did a sad smiley
Because
also.
it's
right?
the details that matter
Yeah.
at the end
You
of the
wouldn't
day.
know if he was sad if he didn't put that
Yeah.
emoji. So.
It was.
But it's
Yeah.
replaced. It's replaced the autograph now. The selfie. ad.
That is true. That's the one
Yeah.
thing that's happened.
There's
It's
a
replaced the
selfie
autograph.
school now. Come on, weren't we discussing this?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
in Delhi
You
there is
can-
a selfie school. They take a
course it's in
6-month
Delhi.
training
Of course
program.
it's in
Of
Delhi.
course it's in
Of course it's in Delhi. The only way to get a Delhi to go to school is tell him he can have a selfie there. Literally.
You know the best thing about the school? It's in Karol Bagh, where everybody gets to get their phones fixed. So it's a perfect location. They're like, हमारा customer base yahi ghumta rahega. It's nice.
Lesson 1: narcissism.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay, very reluctantly, because time is short, I'm going to turn it over to the audience. I still have many questions, but some of the questions I have left are questions that I know people want to ask. So, yeah, the lady right there. Yeah.
Things I regret is the fact that India does not have a culture of comedy films. I think the last really good comedy film we saw was Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. After that, there has been no film that's been a genuine comedy film. I hope you guys are going to go ahead and do something to remedy that situation. It wasn't a question, it's a request.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Fingers crossed.
And
Thank you very
if
much.
you know any
Thank you
people
so
who
much.
fund it,
But
we'll get in
Hera
touch.
Fairy
Yeah.
was quite good. I think you should check out
Yeah.
Hera Fairy. It was quite good.
I think even with just to dwell on that, I agree with ma'am on some level that Jaane Bhi Do Yaro was one of those iconic movies. But I still think a lot of cool films have come through. Like I really thought Go Gone was a very
Gone
bold
was fun.
experiment.
I think
As a comedic trope, because nobody had spoken about like drugs have never been such an integral part of a comedy film, apart from that in the 70s movies where Amitabh Bachchan would be chased in a godown and like,
And just like,
one guy would
just
flash and drugs
splash
would
open,
fall.
Yeah.
Ye to
One
drugs
dude,
hai.
yeah.
Like,
he
he would
flash
just
open
take
one
a
carton
bite
and
of
just
the
this
drug.
powder starts falling out, like talcum powder. Because that's how apparently you ship drugs. You just put talcum powder in a big box and FedEx it. And
I feel like Indians aren't
Yeah.
used to seeing comedy without
Yeah.
like we need,
I think we're not used to seeing.
we need to be handheld through it for some reason.
That's true. Like it's
Which
the visual, the audio cues are very important. Ki joke aa raha hai, joke aa raha hai, joke aane wala, aane wala. Very like, it's a little weird.
The lady there.
Hi guys.
Hi.
On a serious note, I want to ask you something. You're planning this school, which is wonderful. I think we'll all agree it's always easier to do tragedy. Comedy is very difficult. Do you think that you can teach comedy? Does it have to be an inherent part of you?
I mean, you're right. Tragedy is easier. I mean, look at
And
what
tragedy
happened.
leads to comedy. So among comedians, we have an equation which is tragedy plus time equals to comedy. You know. So to answer your question, I think it's a bit of both. I know that there needs to be an inherent liking and talent for
But
it.
that's true for any art,
But
right?
that's
In
true
the
for
sense
any
that
art.
you have dance schools, theatre schools, etc. But you have to, at the end of the day, be an innate instinctive actor or an innate instinctive dancer to be able to go and get that training. So the idea is to hone, obviously, existing talent, which I think is true for any form of education or schooling at that specialized level.
And ma'am, I think that there are also certain examples in India which are really positive. Like, for example, Mr. Jaspal Bhatti, his school, Mad Arts in Mohali, like they do a lot of, it's very interesting. One of the best things I've done is go there because it's such an inspiration because they have so many students coming in from rural Punjab as well, and they sort of teach the tricks of the trade which Mr. Bhatti used during his time for Flop Show and all of these great shows that we produced. So I think you can also train, and beyond the point, once you teach the trick of the trade, it's how well you manage to do. And I think that's true for every art.
Can't wait for lessons like beta tune it.
I can't wait for the inquiries that will be like, school must hai, lekin free laptop milega kya? Like, I can't wait for those inquiries.
Free foreign tour.
There'll be like a lecture on cross-dressing because that's comedy 101 in India. Just औरत के कपड़े पहन के ऐसा बसेंगे.
Yeah.
I think I saw Madhu Kishwar raising her hand. Yeah.
Enjoyed this session enormously.
Thank you.
But I'm surprised at your lamenting the absence of a comedy culture in India and a comedy tradition. Because let's not forget there have been communities, the Bhans and the Mirasis, which were doing exactly what you guys are doing in England.
Absolutely,
They were
absolutely,
stand-up
absolutely,
comedians.
absolutely.
So the culture, obviously, not just tolerated, but even celebrated.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Ma'am, it's interesting you
And
brought
I
the...
hope you will document their
Yeah.
histories.
Oh,
Ma'am,
absolutely.
It's interesting that you brought the point about the Marathis. In fact, we just spoke about this. Mr. Jaspal Bhatti's last movie was called Power Cut. The one which he produced and unfortunately died while promoting that movie. That film, the main character, Savita ma'am and Jaspal sir, actually play Marathis. And the point of that film also, and when I had a conversation with her, she told me this point, which is exactly the point you made, which is that in Punjab, especially rural Punjab, Marathis and the Bhans were such an important part of the culture. But now, even within the community, it's the same problem, where the older generation is saying, okay, you know what, we don't want you to do this because you will never make that kind of money. And I think these communities have always existed, but they've never been mainstream enough. And they've never been, and I think if they're celebrated enough overall, I think maybe the scope for them existing might be way more.
The man in the blue shirt, yeah, go ahead.
Guys, it was great watching the roast and also listening to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question to you is, in early January, there was an unfortunate incident at the assassination of the journalist of Charlie Hebdo. One of the satirists in a different form, you practice a different form. That launched a discussion on freedom of expression and speech outside. Yours did the similar sort of thing in India. Now, my question to you is, that launched a discussion on where do you draw the line, what sort of line can be breached by the satirist? Do you have a line? If yes, what is it, and why is there a line if you're talking about freedom of speech?
Okay, this is a very interesting question, and it's also one of those conversations that we've honestly internally had a lot. One thing we've realized is that when you sit to write a joke, you don't think in the form of a line. But I think what we have realized is that, again, every society and every culture sort of figures it out with time. I think, like what you said, with the knockout, there was a conversation that started in terms of where could you draw the line and what you could do. And I honestly, there is no right or wrong answer to this. I think it's a process which might last 5 years, which might last 10 years, but I think it's a process that is always going to be transitional. There are always going to be phases where, say, for example, that perhaps you can say X things, and there are times where you will not be able to say X things depending on what the local situation is. And I can give one very straightforward example, right? When 9/11 happened in the United States, it took about, there is this channel called College Humor. It's a really popular YouTube channel. They did a sketch called the Stormtroopers 9/11. Which is essentially, Stormtroopers is for those who are Star Wars fans, it's the bad guys in white. They're talking about how the Death Star, which is Darth Vader's aircraft, got destroyed by one guy, and how they cannot find Luke Skywalker. To do that joke on 9/11 took them about 2 to 3 years after the tragedy happened. I think, say, for example, if you look at, say, something like a major catastrophe in India, even if it's, say, an earthquake or a hurricane, you know, our society, I think, functions differently. We will end up figuring out, okay, is it something that you can joke about? Is it something that you can joke about 5 years later or 10 years later? And I think us being in the midst of this are also trying to figure it out as society, because we are also inherent parts of it.
Okay, we have time for one last question.
It's gotten very heavy here.
Rahul, one last question.
I could see her frantically going like,
So there, I think.
Yeah.
So as young comedians, in your experience, so what do you think Indians are more sensitive about? Their gods, their leaders?
everything.
Everything.
And second, can comedy be used as a tool to counter serious things like gender violence, and can it be an effective tool?
Yes,
Yes,
gender violence.
absolutely.
In fact, one of the first videos that we did was a video called "It's Your Fault." It was, I think, the first time that victim blaming culture with regards to rape. It was the first time that we managed to find an angle to go with. The video is called "It's Your Fault." I'd like you to check it out. I think you'd find it
And
interesting.
it actually came from a place of great personal shock, because this was just after the Delhi incident. And we were all sitting there, like all of us, emotionally devastated at the fallout of it. And we're like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you say? How do you say it? And that's where it came from. So I feel like, yes,
it is
absolutely
it is possible. Comedy can also be used to educate. It's something that a lot of people are coming to us now. You know, we did this video with Alia Bhatt, with the where we did the songs about the elements, table of elements in the song. We got emails saying teachers are using that in schools to educate, which we didn't know that. You know,
it makes it easier to learn the periodic table.
So they wrote in saying,
the song.
They wrote in saying, can you write more like this? And we were like, yes, if this is interesting and it helps kids learn, why not? So we wrote it and we sent it across, you know.
And comedy is a fantastic form of agitation. Like, I'll give you a global example right now. There's a show called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver that is spectacularly popular. And what he does is, he will focus on one issue for 15 minutes at a time. And it's a comedy show, but he will use it to draw out such nuanced points that by the end of it, you're almost shaking with rage. You know, you're laughing, but you're shaking with rage. Like he did a segment, a 15-minute segment on internet neutrality. And he, at the end of the segment, he essentially encouraged people to go to the FCC website because they were taking public petitions at that point. And nobody knew until he brought it up. And that night, the FCC website crashed with the number of people that went there to register protest. And it's kickstarted this whole discussion on net neutrality. And 2 weeks ago, they came out with a new law that said that the internet must be neutral and that companies cannot throttle and bottle the internet. So it can be used, absolutely.
That's the dream, ma'am. That's the dream here for us to do, for us to be able to afford a team like that where we can do comedy of that level.
Because that takes tremendous resources
yeah.
at the end of the day.
And to answer your first point, and I think that's not just young people, that's mostly everybody. I think people, basically, as long as it reaffirms their bias, they are okay with you. As long as you say something which goes contradictory to what they believe in, I think that's usually when people back off. But as long as you can still make them laugh, I think it's okay. And that, again, it's very subjective, so you can't...
Also, don't forget, humor has great power to disarm people. I still believe that the number one way to get an argument across is make somebody laugh. Because the second they laugh at you, they've disarmed, they've let their defenses down. And it's a great way to get an argument into somebody's system. It's almost insidious in that sense.
Stop revealing our strategy.
Sorry.
Okay, it breaks my heart, but I know there are a lot more questions that people want to ask, but we're completely out of time and we have to stick to time. So, you know, the last three questions, guys, like, no offense or anything, but, you know, if your comedy gig is like khatam and stuff with the roast, you guys can be motivational speakers and stuff now. But...
Fine. I don't have a ponytail.
Okay, Rajiv just arrived, by the way.
It's so weird to see you without your book. It's very weird.
For the record, we have already bought copies, so please.
Yes. Kindle and print both.
Yeah, finished in one night. Yes, he did. I wrote a comedy show on CNN IBN. It was fantastic.
So you should take him back, sir. Look what happened after you.
Wo channel bhi band ho jayega.
One last request before we wrap this up, and this is by popular demand, since we are in Delhi. Your version of the best and worst things about Delhiwalas, Delhiites.
Ooh.
Best and worst things about
Delhi. Best thing, I think I love the food in Delhi. I mean, I love food.
I mean, you love food.
Yeah, sure.
Really
I mean, food in Delhi, I mean, it doesn't compare. I mean, you can't compare the food in Delhi to anything else in this country. I think for me, Delhi, women in Delhi. Also, I think gorgeous women in Delhi, women in food. Yeah.
I think for me, living in Bombay, the thing I miss the most about, because I'm from Delhi, the thing I miss the most about Delhi is that it has seasons. And Bombay has one season, which is sweat. So it's really nice to have 3-4 months here where I can wear jackets, so my paunch does not shock all the people in front of me.
The worst thing about Delhiwalas for me is that you guys have beautiful infrastructure taken from my city's tax money. So thank you for that. And the other thing that really confuses me about Delhiwalas is their aggressiveness. Whether they come to love you or hate you, it's the same level of aggression. So there's always a moment of confusion. So the guy is coming to you like, he don't know whether he's coming to hug you or kill you. It's so confusing.
My favorite thing about Delhi is the sign you have outside clubs and restaurants. Patrons are requested to please not carry arms and ammunition into the premises. Are you supposed to tell people like they don't know already?
I'd like to tell you one short true story about Delhi. Actually, Ashish and I were doing a show together at a bar in Delhi, and some women were being really drunk and annoying, so we said something to get them quiet, and they got offended and they left. At the end of the show, they come back with this beefy guy who takes us aside, and he's like, guys, should be careful when talking to people in Delhi. You don't know who could have a gun, who could not have a gun. Someone could just come out and shoot you. See, I don't do that anymore. were his exact words. And I was like, oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
So if you like in Delhi, I always hear everything.
Not
with
going to
like
stop. You
Haryana
guys,
subtitles.
we're never going to stop. To end it, the ideal city is the infrastructure of Delhi, the weather of Bangalore, the people of Bombay, and the nothing of Chennai.
So if you had to...
Thank you.
यार अभी चेन्नई को offend किया तूने यार कैसा आदमी है यार
Vishwanathan Ansar is offended now. What?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, A.I.B.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.